for 32 years, whether I've made a lot of money, and I've had years when I've made a lot of money. I mean, more money than most people will ever make. And I've had years where Debbie and I were going to the store and eating on $6 or $7 a week, when we were young married. And that whole time, Debbie and I have just always given. And I don't think this is necessarily what everybody has to do. I'm not trying to say this is what the Bible says. But the practice for us, I think, just because what was given to us, is we've always given 10% basically to the church or, some Christian ministry, almost always the church. And then on top of that, we give to things like Compassion Children. We've sponsored Compassion Children for, again, decades. And we give to other things, but that's sort of on top of first giving to the church. The truth of it is, though, that practice wasn't changing me fundamentally. And I realized that for me, it had become very distant. Like literally right now, I could not tell you what my paycheck is every 2 weeks. And it's been years since I could tell you. I don't even see it. It's electronically transferred. Debbie does our bills. She's done our bills our whole marriage. I mean, I know about what I make per year, but I couldn't tell you what my paycheck is. I couldn't tell you what the tithe check is. Debbie writes it out. I mean, I sometimes put it in the basket when it goes by, but she writes it out. And what I realized was what the Bible is after in tithing and in giving is sort of a fundamental generosity, a fundamental otherliness. And it's possible to tithe and still not get to the sort of fundamental simplicity of life and generosity that I think the Bible's after. In the last few years, I've probably given away more money a year than many, many people make in a year. And yet I don't feel like it was having any profound spiritual impact on my life, and I just had to think that through.
At today's community church, we've got a culture of generosity. The Bible says a man reaps what he sows, so it's got to be best to sow generously, right? Think of it this way. If I want more friends, then I've got to generously sow friendship. Maybe I buy someone a coffee, or maybe I invite some people to my house. Pretty soon, I've got a lot more friends. Or say my cash is running low. Instinct says to save. Maybe even stop tithing. But the Bible says give even more. It doesn't seem to make sense, right? But God says this stuff over and over. In Proverbs he says, the world of the generous gets larger and larger, whilst the world of the stingy gets smaller and smaller. I know which one I'd choose. If we take God out of the equation, it's absolutely crazy. But when I compare the amount of times I've been wrong to the amount of times God's been wrong, I think that maybe I need to trust God's promises. And God promises that if you give your life away, you'll find life given back with bonus and with blessing. Giving, not getting, is the way. Generosity begets generosity. All it takes is for you to choose to believe.